The cafe was buzzing with the soft clinking of cups and the low hum of conversations, but in that moment, everything seemed to stop. Eleanor Sterling, the 81-year-old matriarch of one of the wealthiest families in the city, froze in her seat. Her sharp, weathered eyes locked onto the young waitress approaching with a pot of steaming coffee. But it wasn't the coffee that made Eleanor's frail hands tremble. It wasn't even the way the waitress smiled shyly, balancing plates with careful grace. No, it was the necklace. A delicate silver chain with a small sapphire pendant that glimmered faintly under the cafe's warm lights. Eleanor's breath caught in her throat. "That necklace," she whispered, her voice cracking with emotion, before gasping loud enough that heads turned from nearby tables. "That necklace belongs to my daughter." The room fell silent. Even the barista stopped mid-pour. The young waitress, around 22, froze in place, confusion flooding her gentle brown eyes. "My daughter wore that exact necklace the day she disappeared," Eleanor continued, clutching her chest as her memories came rushing back. Her voice shook, heavy with decades of grief. The waitress looked down at the pendant, stunned. "This necklace? No, it can't be." She shook her head nervously. "It was my mother's. She gave it to me before she died." And just like that, the cafe turned into a stage for a story decades in the making, one that none of them were prepared for. A lifetime of grief. Eleanor had lived most of her life in wealth, comfort, and privilege, but one wound had never healed, the loss of her daughter, Clara, who went missing nearly 30 years ago. Clara had been only in her 20s, full of life, engaged to be married, and wearing that very sapphire necklace the night she vanished. Despite countless searches, investigations, and even private detectives, no trace was ever found. It had broken Eleanor's heart. Though she had other children, Clara was the one who carried her spirit, curious, kind, unafraid to love freely. Losing her had left Eleanor hollow, a piece of her soul gone forever. And now, standing in front of her, was a waitress wearing Clara's necklace. The same pendant. The same design. The same tiny chip on the side of the sapphire where Clara had accidentally dropped it once as a girl. Eleanor would never forget it. The waitress's story. The young waitress, whose name was Emily, stood trembling. Her co-workers whispered, customers stared, and she felt her world collapsing. She finally gathered her voice. "My mother's name was Grace," Emily said softly. "She was a nurse. She raised me alone." She never spoke much about her past. Eleanor's eyes widened. Grace. The name echoed in her ears like a long-forgotten melody. Grace had been Clara's middle name. Could it be? Emily, seeing Eleanor's tears, felt her chest tighten. "She passed away 2 years ago," she continued. "All she left me was this necklace and an old photograph I've never understood." The cafe owner, sensing the gravity of the moment, ushered Eleanor and Emily to a quiet table in the back. Everyone else went back to their meals, though their ears strained to catch pieces of this unfolding mystery. The photograph. Emily reached into her apron pocket and pulled out a folded picture. She always kept it with her. It was worn from years of touching, the edges frayed, the colors fading. She slid it across the table. Eleanor's hands shook as she picked it up. Her heart skipped. It was Clara. A younger Clara, smiling, holding a baby in her arms. And around her neck was the same sapphire necklace. Tears streamed down Eleanor's face. "It's her. My Clara. She didn't disappear. She had you." Emily's lips parted in disbelief. "You mean, you're saying Clara, your daughter, was my mother?" Eleanor nodded, unable to speak, clutching Emily's hand tightly. The painful truth. But questions remained. Why did Clara disappear? Why had she never returned home? Eleanor, with a heavy heart, explained the painful past. Clara had fallen in love with a man Eleanor's late husband disapproved of, a struggling artist with no fortune or status. Harsh words were exchanged, ultimatums were given, and Clara vanished soon after. The Sterlings had searched everywhere, but they never considered that Clara might have left willingly to start a new life away from the family's wealth and control. Emily's eyes filled with tears. "So she left to protect me, to give me a simple life, away from judgment." Eleanor nodded. "And I was too proud to see it. My pride cost me 30 years with her. But perhaps it hasn't cost me you. The challenge of belonging. The days that followed weren't easy. Eleanor, desperate to make up for lost time, invited Emily into her home, her life, her world. But Emily felt like a stranger in the grand Sterling mansion with its towering ceilings, marble halls, and staff who whispered behind her back. "She's not one of us," she overheard one of her aunts mutter. "She's just a waitress." It stung. Emily had always worked hard, balancing school, taking care of her sick mother, holding 2 jobs at times. But here, her worth was measured in status, not character. Eleanor defended her, but Emily struggled. Could she ever belong in a world so different from the one her mother had chosen? The turning point. One evening, Eleanor found Emily sitting alone in the garden, tears rolling down her cheeks. "I don't fit here," Emily whispered. "Your family doesn't want me. Maybe my mother was right to stay away." Eleanor knelt beside her, despite her aching knees, and cupped Emily's face. "Listen to me, child. That necklace you wear, it's not just jewelry. It's a reminder that love is stronger than pride, stronger than fear. You don't need to become a Sterling. You already carry Clara's spirit, kindness, courage, and love. And that makes you family." Those words planted a seed of strength in Emily's heart. A new beginning. Slowly, Emily found her place. She didn't chase after approval from those who doubted her. Instead, she showed them her heart. She volunteered at charities Eleanor supported, not because of appearances, but because she had always believed in helping others. She continued working part-time at the café, reminding herself where she came from, never ashamed of her roots. And, little by little, the family began to see what Eleanor already knew: Emily wasn't just Clara's daughter. She was the living bridge between a painful past and a hopeful future. Final resolution. Months later, Eleanor stood proudly at a charity gala, Emily at her side, wearing the sapphire necklace. Cameras flashed, journalists whispered, and the story of the lost granddaughter spread across headlines. But in Eleanor's heart, none of that mattered. What mattered was that she had found a piece of Clara again, and that Emily had found the courage to stand tall, not as a waitress or a billionaire's granddaughter, but as herself. The inspiring message. Life's challenges had tested them both: Eleanor's grief, Emily's struggle to belong, and the weight of lost years. But through truth, courage, and love, they overcame. The necklace that once symbolized loss had now become a beacon of reunion and hope. As Eleanor often said in her final years, wealth may fill your pockets, but love fills your soul. And in the end, that's all that matters. Call to action. Friends, if this story touched your heart, I want to hear from you. What would you do if you discovered a hidden family connection like Emily's? Share your thoughts in the comments, I read each one. And remember, this is your channel, be kind always. If you believe in stories that inspire kindness, forgiveness, and hope, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more hearts can be touched. Because at the end of the day, no matter who we are, the greatest wealth we can share is kindness.